recorded interview, so you can say more than we asked for. So it's just so that we have somewhere to start.
Okay.
That's why as well we have the recording, because I don't know if I can write that down.
No problem.
Okay. So you want to start, Michelle?
Okay. I want to ask, what has been your most challenging case dealing with back pain as a physiotherapist?
The most challenging cases, and when people experiencing nerve pain, either coming from a disc or mostly disc orientated, for the reason that a person comes in with a lot of irritation. So they come in and you quite see it quite often, but some of them can't move at all. They can't go forward, they can't go backwards. They've been brought in by somebody driving for them. So they can't even sit in the reception area, so really irritated and agitated from any point of view, and they're trying to get any relief possible. So then we call it the person is quite thin, meaning quite irritable, severe. The nature of origin is quite intense. So the test you can do is very limited, because any position you put them in, you have to adjust. Yes. So they're basically struggling to get them on the bed, struggling to get them off the bed. If you want to do a test, putting them on side lying, now they can't get onto their stomach, they can't get onto their back. So touching them, they're highly sensitive. So you do get, some of them comes in when they have a disc that slips to the one side, or we're not allowed to say slip, but when they're pushing towards a specific nerve root, the person tries to go out of the position, so they look like skew. So they're sitting like this. Then you have to put them into the pain thing to make the pain decrease. So it's a very difficult situation. So you do get things, mostly that's challenging is that it takes a bit of time, and to get the confidence from the patient to know that you're trying to help them, in trying the best you can.
And I know it's difficult to say because it's different severities, but
yes,
how long would it take to heal that?
There's no specific thing. So what do you guys understand what the discs means? So different conditions that it is.
No.
The doctor or
so from my perspective, when I came here earlier on last year, and I had that pain down my leg, I was relieved with the needling, but it carried on. So I went for the MRI and it showed that my disc had slipped out and was pushing onto the nerve. So that liquid
was
pushing onto the nerve, and it was inflamed.
Yes.
So that was causing my pain.
And how long did it take to get better for you?
Well, it's not. It's
totally
not better. Yeah. But
exactly.
so I just went for that epidural injection.
Yes.
And then I've just been trying to move, exercise, and walk and swim. Those type of things.
So there's people struggling for it for years.
Sure.
So I work also at a different practice, but for weekends at the hospital with Professor Flock. He's a neurosurgeon in lower backs and neck, and also he's got his daughter's actually a physiotherapist. So I work for her, and they do his patients. I work in Panorama and Cape Mediclinic. So I see a lot of people who's got fusions or laminectomies or different surgeries that helps to decrease the pain in the lower back. And those people, some of them has been walking for years, some of them short time. So there's different stages of a disc.
Yeah.
You get the one that just goes a little bit, one goes more, one goes... And so you can only have a little bit of symptoms causing it to go down, meaning that it only pushes. So think of two blocks on top of each other pushing a little marshmallow. So think of a Mari biscuit, you have two tops and the middle, so it's squashing it. So if you're sitting and you're collapsing into your spine, your core's not working. So if you're sitting for longer postures, longer time, maybe picking up something more heavier, it can push a little bit. And that little bit pushing goes into whatever area you don't know where the marshmallow goes. So it goes more to the right, more to the left, more to the middle. And depending on where it pushes, it goes to that nerve that goes out of that little spine, and it irritates it. So, making your posture better, making you help to release the muscle tension around it, help to do strengthening work of your abdominal core muscles and layman's terms, but very specific. Creating decrease in load on the spine makes that pressure less. But so that can take off the pressure. But when it pushes to a grade 3, where it totally equistrated, they call it, out, then and it causes a person to have non-stop pain and it affects in different. Then they decide and they go to a surgeon, and then they have to. So with a physio, as we see them, we check on how much we basically try to decrease the symptoms, and then we try to start working with them to see in what stage they are. So they can probably be in a grade 1 and go into a more extreme state, or they can come back down. So that is all depending from the person, and that's why you still say you have it, because there's still things to work on, and your most important thing is for you to work on your strength of the muscles to keep it strong, to decrease the pressure of the spine on the disc. And that's why. So you can flame up any time.
In the morning is actually the worst, because I don't know what I'm doing while I'm sleeping.
And also not because of that, but the thing is you decrease the pressure on the spine, so you're stiff, so the nerves are not. So when you wake up, it's normally when you get up, you're causing immediate pressure on your nerves and the way you sit up. So normally nerves, they don't like to be stretched in the morning. As they move more, they get better. So I never tell a person to stretch or to doing a nerve glide test or anything in the morning, only when they warm up. Because nerves are like irritable. They don't really get pinched, but they get irritable. So either that liquid irritate them, or the muscle irritate, whatever. But when they're irritated, they're like this, agitated, and they're like nothing you can do. And then specific positions make it worse.
And I can understand from the patient's perspective as well, because you don't know exactly where the pain is, because it's running all the way down your leg. You don't know where it's starting from.
Exactly.
It can become really... And then, we know you deal with a lot of different professional cyclists and a lot of athletes and things, but in terms of people who are everyday workers sitting at desks, what is the worst case for those people?
I mean, what
worst case scenario, like if they came in with an injury, how bad would that injury be? Like, what's the worst case it has been for a person who is
meaning specific? So if I'm understanding correctly, you're asking me if cyclists get more lower back pain with scenarios than desk workers.
No,
in a sense.
So or what? For specific desk workers, of the desk workers, what would be the worst case scenario of someone with back pain?
And the worst case scenario meaning condition?
Yes.
So there is a lot of
injury and like, so if a person comes in and they say, okay, well, I don't really exercise much, but I do work a lot and I sit at a desk most of the day.
So those people, I can tell you, people that doesn't exercise have less. This is personal. But with what I have experienced, that people that works more at a desk has a lot more problems than people that exercise. So the injuries I get is not necessarily disc problems with people with cycling, running or stuff like that. It's not a lot of that is not causing it. But when you develop a disc because of stuff, that is gonna be difficult for you to do cycling, because the jarring of it's going to make it worse. But in meaning, I can't say according to research that cycling causes all
of this is of your experience.
But that's so I find that people come in, they already had a surgery and they can't cycle anymore. But the cycling didn't sort of brought on a lot of people that I have for treating neck or low back pains is people are sitting for hours in a car, for hours at a desk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the constant postures.
And then, okay, well, I think you just answered the next question, because our next question was, would you say that there's a significant number of your patients who spend long periods of time in front of a desk or a laptop?
Lots. I asked them of all the clients how many hours you spend during a day, and most of them will say 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And that's
So either in the car, so this lady that was just here is driving. So I wanted to go back now and put heat on, but you can't. She's going to drive now for hours in a car.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a thing. So just saying. So yeah, it
So-
is not.
So, while you're sitting at a desk, does your posture have the most impact on your pain, or is it if you're moving? So if you're sitting at your desk and you're getting up and stuff, so it's definitely
Posture.
people's posture.
Yeah, posture, and the muscles has to sustain you in a position. So if I can explain to you in this way that you can understand it. So unfortunately, with time, your muscles will fatigue. Okay. So it just depending on how strong yours is according to yours. So if you have to hold a barbell or something in your hand, a dumbbell for this, and you're stronger than him, you're gonna drop it very quicker than she's going to.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting at a desk and your postural muscles are not very strong, and it's even though you're in a good position, you're gonna go into a bad posture because your muscles can't sustain you. So if you're gonna fatigue quicker in any way and you're gonna work for longer periods, just that's gonna increase the symptoms.
Yeah.
So we unfortunately, in general, as human beings, are very task orientated. So we're sitting in this, okay, fine, fatiguing, working on our computer, okay. So we're here, you don't even realize it's going this position. So the minute, if you take this thing away and you keep on sitting like this, you're sitting, you'll actually find that this position is very uncomfortable, and you'll be aware of it, and then you move out of it. But because you're orientated to the task, it takes the tension away from what's going on in the muscles. So that's why in this personal, that I think that the health professional councils of Africa have developed, or in the world, movement apps on their watches to keep you moving. They also put it into so every 30 minutes to get up. I give clients things of asking them to have a glass of water next to you, because then they're forced to go to the toilet to get up. Okay. Other people, smokers, are sometimes better off because I crave to go to as well to smoke, so they move. Some of my clients, they actually oversee companies. That's very nice because they look a bit better in that way after their workers. They have on their desk a reminder that tells move. If they don't, they pick it up, whatever. If they have to go to their boss and tell them they have to be booked off because of low back or neck pain, they don't get leave for that, or they don't get paid if they haven't moved enough in that. So they make them forced to move, and only when they move and they still have back pain, they reimburse them, but otherwise not, because they give them that opportunity to move.
To connect the
yes, and to get every 30 minutes or whatever time for moving around. And if that back pain persists, despite if they do that, then they know they're okay.
Yeah.
But that's how they help them. Yeah.
So are these the treatments you recommend to relieve pain in the case of working?
So in the case of in a working environment, you definitely have to have a good desk setup. Okay? There's always. So there's companies, physios, that actually goes out, and they're sometimes quite expensive. They're called ergonomic companies, and you can also see this is one of the ergonomic companies, Work Smart Principles. You can take a photo of that if you want to. It's on their website as well. But it gives you all the so of changing whatever. If you're in sitting, if you the desk, or if you standing desk, you need to keep those principles intact, meaning the height of the chair, the knees, the desk height for your elbows, the eyesight. Because if you're sitting with your eyesight this, you're gonna have neck pain. If you think too low, if it's sitting here, we're looking to the different. You can work on 2 different laptops, but if you have 4 like IT guys, it's very difficult to treat them because. So you're trying to adjust. Those companies also maybe improvise if they can't afford to make them all different chairs. Some of those chairs are quite expensive. They can cost you up to 10,000 rand. Of the curvature of the spine, so they help from that. They're adjustable up and down, forward and backwards, because you need to get your feet underneath.
Yeah.
You need to be like that. So getting all that postural stuff. They improvise by putting books underneath the desktop to get them eyesight right, not having a expensive changeable, but
I
giving.
ended up doing that as we were doing the research. I ended up putting books underneath my monitor too.
Yeah, so I've my friend's company. I walked into there and I saw all this. I asked, it will be good to do that. And when I went in to see, I actually saw that, and it's quite nice. So they're trying to help out the companies in a way that benefits them. Yeah. It's not the best way there is, but it's definitely better than than anything else. So a good chair is a very important thing. Some workers do have not very good backrest, not good, so you need that. It is important, but not every person can afford expensive chairs. But if you're going to spend a long hours of time, it's the time you spend that you work, that's what you have to, it's worth
6 to 8 hours a day, I mean, that's 40 hours a week. So, that works out to every year you're spending thousands of hours.
Exactly. And also the other thing, just coming back to that, is about standing desk. I do believe the standing desk is good, but I also believe that standing for long periods is not also good. So for me, if I stand just like this, I can get back pain. But because I'm moving around, I'm not actually standing in the same posture. So it's very postural orientated, meaning the muscles can't keep up. When you're walking a bit, it adjusts different ones. So for instance, they still don't suggest you to just stand at a standing desk. They suggest you switching between the two, sitting and a standing desk. So even those balls are used to create people fatigue into the ball, even though it's getting, your muscles can't sustain any of those for such long periods of time. So
because our next question was, are you aware of any products that help with the desk? So it's this.
Standing desk. I believe it was good, the Fisher balls was good initially, but people
got too used to them.
Yeah, and they struggle. They start also in it. It's good, the muscles have to be strong to be in it, and then they also move like that. It's good for small periods of time. I won't say it's the best one there, but it is a little option. But I would rather go to a standing desk and then a ball. Not, I wouldn't say not a standing desk above a sitting desk, but I will say good is to switch between the two. And other things is a better chair, like I said, to sit in. Adjustable chair, that's the product. They also created, some people, you were asking me, you want to create something with a hole in for the buttocks. But the minute you have a hole in the sitting area, you might slouch into causing more pressure on the back. So it's all about the curvature of the spine that you want to create this form
of S shape.
This shape, So this is why the way it is designed, because if you're sitting, if I will show you maybe in that chair, so if I have to sit in a chair like this, so think of even in a environment, so this chair is fine, but what we do is we tend to go sit here.
Can I take a video?
Yeah. And we have to see this from the side. You go sit here. Okay, so it feels I'm upright, but can you see this here?
The gap.
So what happens if you do this?
Yeah.
So now you're driving. So there's things that they're trying to create. They call it cushionings and different little stuff that they put in in the back that actually creates your pelvis to tilt a bit more into this position. So I want you to feel it yourself, Sinead. So sit like this, yeah, and then backwards. Okay, so it feels like a comfortable initially, but lean forward. So you have to. So you're okay for this, but if you have to sit in this position, so what you'll do is slouch into it. This is what you're going to go into. So your back is not. So yes. So if I have to put something in there, and you have to sit up in that way, alright, can you feel you're resting into that position because it's supporting you there. So it's actually helping you with the curvature of the spine. Yeah. So if you don't have something like that, because also what it does to the pelvis, it's if somebody has buttocks pain in the buttocks, meaning a nerve pain. I have created with a guy that set up like that in his car that actually makes his pelvis, I call it the tilting, like this. Yes. So you don't put pressure, because if you're sitting on it, it puts pressure on the buttock spot. That's pinching a nerve in the buttock itself. So by creating one that tilts his pelvis, he's taking pressure off the buttock nerve and alleviating the pain. So, and that's what you can do. So you can switch around depending on where it is, because you keep on feeling how to move. If you had to sit in a fixed chair, like a hard one like this, it doesn't get the pain. But the minute it gets in the skull, the soft is put pressure and it gets squashed in there. So I had to change between 3 different cars, because he had a sports car, then he got a bucky, so it doesn't press him anymore, doesn't press him here. And yes.
More space as well.
So I worked with him for a while, and he's a doctor himself, and then we had to get him a thing for his back and just to get his pelvis tilted.
And then in terms of, because I've also noticed now with the slip disc, I tend to do this because I also spend a lot of time in front of the laptop.
So you want to move.
And it's just like, it's that comfort as of the cushion and relieving. But I'm always worried that I'm overextending that lumbar. Like if the pillow.
No, this is more a neutral position for the pelvis.
So so what's the or is there a perfect position to be in?
No. So the spine is designed like that for the reason that you will always, in that one that you have pain, L5 is one, you'll always, it's the weakest link.
For the most.
It is the weakest link, unfortunately. So basically in your lower back, and just the lumbar spine, you've got 5 vertebrae. The lumbar region, these ones. Just this ones, like the biggest factors, but they take a lot of the load, because if you compress through there, this is where it squeezes. Also because of the direction. See, these ones, they go at 60-degree angle, or 30 degrees, and these ones go down like this. You see the pressure? This one is 90 degrees. So if I have to push your spine, you have to push it like this to create pressure in here. This one I have to push like that to create. See here, you have to go up. Because I press like here, I'm pressing different. I have to press on this little thing. This is your back part of the spine that I'm touching. Right. So they're all directed in different ways to help us. But this link, these two are the weakest links. And look, they're propping forward a lot more. So if this one, if you sitting here, you're easing into it, it squashes this marshmallow into that little yellow stuff. Look. So they're going, so here is the liquid in the inside. Now you're squashing that marshmallow, squashing. Looking at that marshmallow, see there it goes out into that yellow. That is your nerve root. That nerve, this is the nerve, it goes out and goes all the way down the leg. So this symptom that we have, yes, it's causing it, but it's coming from this area wherever it's irritated. So we're trying to get the pressure off to get that liquid back in. When the liquid is totally gone out, you can't put it in, they have to remove it.
Yeah, actually, there's a guy in our class who was that severe, because we all spent time in front of laptops, and his case was quite severe and they had to remove.
Yes, because it keeps on being in that nerve that irritates it. But yours is just pushing, so it push in, come out, push in, comes out. Some pressure the way you are, this is going to cause it more. So normally some of the stuff I make them lie on the stomach and raise them to make that disc or push back in.
I've actually started sitting in front of the TV like that.
Yeah. So yes, so we make them lay on their tummy with pillows, meaning, sorry, but here on your stomach like this, and then you have a bit more pressure. You later want to actually go up onto your elbows to get that to come back. And it's a guy that actually developed this technique to help. But that's when it becomes more and more and more.
Yeah.
And actually the pain will go then from the lower back, less, it will still feel, but from the further down the leg it is, the worse it is. So it will go all the way, the better it becomes up the leg, and you will only feel it on your lower back. And that's a good sign, because you can treat it. Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
Comes back memories.
Yeah. Mine actually, I felt it in my toe, and then I phoned the orthopedic surgeon and said, no, this is too much.
Yeah.
He recommended that. But I've been doing those exercises, it's been helping.
Yeah. So the thing is, you will still feel it, and that's the way. People get scared, and there's people that live for a while. That's why I said to you. But some people need to. Most of the surgeons, and that's depending, and it's please don't tell them. But you will even hear on YouTube and some stuff like every surgeon loves surgery. That's what.
Yeah.
So, but you get surgeons that's quite nice, that's very conservative, and they will try to make you do physio first or strengthening before they go operate. Because if you have a back op, it means not all of them, but if you have a fusion, it fuses, makes it rigid. There's nothing.
Yeah.
So everything above and below becomes tight. So it will always be there like that, and then it makes every joint above more and more. So if you don't
more
work,
pressure
so you don't really want to have back surgery because it's not nice, and so it's nice if you can try, if the pain is not severe, to get it done if you've tried all the other options. But others would say no, surgery immediately. And there's things that we as physios check, making sure you don't lose control of your. There's different things that know the nerve is compromised till the way extent, and we send you immediately. But otherwise, you can still help that out till to make the pain. But unfortunately, people also, like you say, they're irritated immediately and they're so scared. And this is not to say it is, not to say the end of the world.
Worst case scenario.
No, it is a nerve pain. It is irritated, but it's not life-threatening. So. Right.
And then in terms of using a laptop, because that's what we're focusing on.
Yeah.
Just sitting in front of a laptop, but from the research that we've done so far, we found that people generally, like you said, they then task orientated, and then they end up slouching, and their shoulders come forward, and they end up leaning forward over the laptop.
Yeah.
So, if someone was doing that and they were sitting at a laptop, what recommendations would you give to alleviate? So we've said the cushion, the chair, the standing desk, but in terms of laptops specifically, do you think, or is it just general?
No, they have. People have adjustable stuff that you can buy extra for laptops. So first thing what people will do with a laptop is they go sit when they go work at home or stuff, because it's movable. So think what it is. So you're moving from one area to another. Why do people use laptops? Because they want to take it home. They can use it at the work. They can use it in this desk. So now they're going from one area to another area. That's making them constantly change their working station. So you need to make the working station the most appropriate for you. So how are you going to manage that? You need to think of all those things around that will keep that intact.
No matter where you go.
No matter where you go. So if you're in an uncomfortable chair, so if these people are sitting out by Ella, they're sitting on a different chair, different laptop, different everything. So probably then when you're sitting in a chair, sitting way back into the chair with your buttocks so it doesn't slouch. So for you, if you have to go sit in, sit your buttocks way back into it, and then you go sit upright. So meaning having a harder chair then if you're going to be a little bit of time. Having maybe adjustable, so if it's too low or too high, maybe having a thing to raise it with the laptop. Having all these principles with you to know. Meaning, if the thing is too high, you're going to sit like this type. I would also have a mouse. It's easier to do, because then otherwise the people will go like this on the thing.
So separate from the thing, because of the eye, the distance.
Yes. They can adjust that, because also the height of the bench does this thing. So think of it. If you have to sit like this, it raises your shoulders. Okay. So meaning, if you have something that's too low, also you're gonna also slouch. So if you have this little thing, like it's like a little raised thing, whatever, it just makes the height up and down. You put it underneath your laptop, I think, and it raises the. So you get the eye, you get this everything. You know that you have to have in your control. So you're trying to control all the little stuff that can cause you. And when you're going home, a lot of people want to go sit on the couch or in the bed.
In the bed, yeah.
Yeah.
Irritate the nerve immediately. Doing it in the morning, irritate it immediately. Nerve root causing a compression. Okay.
I'm guilty of that as well. I'll wake up early to do work and I'm sitting with a laptop. And
so the first thing, the first thing that makes a nerve to make it help is doing, so this position that you're sitting in is a slump position. This is how I test for positive for nerve root pain or meaning. So this sitting like that, you're immediately irritating your nerve, and it's early morning, like I said to you, it's cold. Then it irritated the nerve.
If there was, I mean, I know I've used, because I was suffering with it, I used a heat bag for it, or a cold pack, but in the morning it was a heat bag.
Not cold, it will increase the spasm in your back.
So
we want a soothing effect on the muscles,
And does it help the nerve as well, the heat?
Yes. So it just have a soothing effect on the muscles. It doesn't, because remember, nerve runs through the whole area. So if the muscles, think of it, if the muscles tighten up, it squashes that nerve. So what we're trying to do is we release all the muscles around it, because there's two components of a nerve that irritate it. It either gets irritated along in the joint or through the muscle it runs through. And then it doesn't want to slide. So the muscle wants to glide freely wherever it is in. It's one long structure. If it doesn't glide, it gets irritated. So we release the muscles in between so the nerve can easily glide. Otherwise it becomes like sticky, like toffee. And that makes it, so if it's irritated and doesn't want to glide, then it flames up. So that's why I do my nerve glide. That's why you have to do your nerve glide to keep the nerve moving, mobile. So heat makes a soothing effect on muscles that in return eases the muscles to decrease the pain in the nerve and make it easier to glide. And that's why you want to only move it a little bit later during the day when you're warmer, rather than first thing in the morning. So when you're cold up, what the first thing you do in the winter, a lot of people in winter time, I get lots of neck pain in winter time. Sleeping, crunching, holding your pillow, sitting in front with a blankie.
It's crazy how the small things they just add up and then.
That's the thing, and then stress comes on top of that.
Stress hits you over here.
Yes. So everybody carries it different, but I find like even in the Bible they say that they explain our body and parts of pain and parts of the body. It's like I carry my heart on the sleeve. It's like something on my shoulders. When I say, it's like a chest and a pain. Heart ache. Like, it's like what went into my shoes. That's not conscious. They always say it. My gemoed. It's gemoed. It's the way I feel. Went into my shoes. If somebody, it's like it feels like. So they describe our feelings according to our body. And all of the stuff. So we experience it like that. I carry the world on my shoulders.
The stress.
Carry the world, and that's the saying, So we do it in that. So stress does affect it a lot. It's a stimulator. Right.
And then, if you had an ideal product, so I know this is a little bit repetitive because we have named all the different products there are, but in terms of your experience, what has been the best product? So if it was the guy who had a rest in his car seat that tilted his hips forward to relieve
but that will help for him.
So it's specific.
It's very specific.
Okay.
So you will probably the product you're going is the clientele you're looking for. So you can develop, if you're going for office workers, then you're probably gonna go a specific product. If you're gonna go for this, that's why people have different type of things. These people go for set up for these chairs. That's so. I would probably, but that this chair won't help a guy sitting in a car the whole day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you guys
really specific,
Or in a cafe, because then
exactly,
you go to a different chair.
do you understand?
we have,
And they up and down, but they don't normally get that much back pay because they're up and down, in and out. Hair people blowing hair, they don't even they stand all day. So they can also cause this, but they can shoulder stuff and no back, but they're doing this action with their back because of going. So meaning for me, I have shoulder pain, so I had to lower down my bed, and I have a bunkie, so that I have my pressure getting across. Because if I have to stand and my bed is here, now I've got a big client, I'm like
then you end up with the shoulder pain and
whatever, even pressing the so this is for me specific. My product would be adjustable bed. The bunkie. If I don't have it, I would have a problem. But if you're working for desk workers and your task is lab orientation, then I would say
closer to that.
Chair.
We
adjustable.
We did realize the scope of it was massive because people use laptops everywhere. So we are focusing on, I don't know if you've heard of co-working spaces. So a lot of people working in one area, but they come and go. So they may rent it out for the day, for 2 weeks, for the month, but it's not permanent. So they're up and down. They sort of have a little bit more movement than office workers that are just there in the desk every single day, and they don't have to pack up anything with them when they leave. So so we're focusing on them.
And I would, if I were you in your task, I would definitely, from a future point of view, I would create a product that forces people to get points or marks to move.
Okay.
Because this is the principle. If you want to target a wide variety, think of anything. Movement. Movement is what you want to focus on. So if you want to create something that is like a bigger thing, they call it motion is the lotion from a future point of view. So there's the same thing by the World Health Professional Council. This chair, standing desk, movement apps. Meaning
they all revolve around moving.
They all around moving. Nothing persists in the same position is comfortable. Even if I go to way back to physio in the way that if I get a patient in a hospital laying down, not able to move, they have to be moved every 2 hours because they could pressure sores. What do we have to do? Move it. We're not designed to stay that long. So we wake up during the night moving from one side to the other the whole time. We don't even know it. Our body does it. There's pressure points in it to make it move, so it doesn't cause any problems on the tissues, damaging it. And that's why sticky areas, bones. So if I can think out of the box, that I will think of anything. If it will be a good thing, is that, and that you can be your that will target a lot of people. It's creative. You can find a way of like the discovery stuff that actually makes people force them, like I say, and development stuff is huge these days. I mean, think about it. I mean, people just want to get these points. So I mean, if you can develop something that they get at the end of the week, or get them to move every day, have to move 6 times a day, and they can get something for free. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. So try to make them forced to do that. So that's the best that I would do.
I mean, sorry, just the last question. Just to clarify with the spine. So people are sitting down. So for me, for example, I probably spend about 6 to 8 hours as well in front of a laptop every day, and I ended up with a slip disc. But what are the other injuries that I could have had ended up with if it wasn't a slip disc, like because of that pressure that I was putting on the spine from slouch?
You can do a lot. So people get back spasms, and that's actually probably, so you end up having a back spasm, that's why you release, and it can cause the typical posture. People get like the whole thing. Back, neck, spine, all of those. Or you can get, so people have a disc, or they have a nerve root irritation. So it's meaning it's the area the vertebra moves a bit and it compresses, the nerve root comes out. So meaning thinking of a little spine as being a little airplane. If so, they're all like little airplanes on top of each other. If the one here and the one above, if I turn like this and press it down, it presses the one below. In between every one, there's a little nerve root. So look here. If this one is a little bit twisted to a side and it presses on that nerve, you're irritating that nerve root. So it's not just the disc that causes the nerve to be irritated, it's the nerve root itself. Some older people, but you won't have it, is when the disc space narrows, it closes down that little round circle where the nerve goes, and I call it stenosis. But you won't be able to get it yet. And most of the people have it because of age. So when they get growing old, you shrink. Yeah, because what happens is those disc space disappear. So when they do an X-ray of the spine, you won't pick your thing up with an X-ray. You will only pick it up the MRI. Yeah. Because it's you need that to see that. So then when it narrows, it causes less space. That's why some older people look at them, they will actually change in height. So as you wear it there, so in the morning you're at your tallest, actually, because of this space. As you go through the day, the disc space, because of the marshmallow, and then when you sleep again, it goes a little bit more. So, and some people are just, you remember, if a person, some people's spine, they're a bit more like this, other people are a bit more like this. So you got different postures. So a person's posture also, you can't help it the way your spine is. So in your case, a disc is a quite thing because of it quite happens very often. But the other stuff is more different related. And also what you could have get is piriformis syndrome. It's also a nerve root irritation, but it gets squashed in the buttocks, the nerve, because of the way you sit and the way they collapse. But there's a muscle running here, and the nerve root underneath it, or about or through it, and when the muscle pinches, it pinches this nerve that it goes through. This is where it sits, number 27. Nerve goes down there. If that muscle squeezes, then it irritates the whole one going down. So you could have gotten that as well.
Yeah. So, but the disc is the most common amongst people in general. The slip disc.
This and that, sciatica. Call it sciatica. You can go Google or see of sciatica.
I actually, when I started getting that annoyed, I googled and they said I had
you had a sciatica, but from your disc.
Okay. So.
But then it flames everything up, and then you need to, because then that muscle goes into spasm, then everything else. So you need to release all of those stuff, but also extra work on your postural and your strength of the muscles to help you to take that pain off. Because we're treating it as a symptom. Yeah.
And then because we had to design an initial product, like just off the information that we found and a general product that you think would have helped. I don't think it'll help now, but because we have all this information. But the one thing that it had was the tailbone gap. It wasn't like a big one like this, but it was in the base of the seat.
It's just to make it. I think
this is it.
Yeah, so this makes this way it is developed is to get that tilt of yours.
Yeah. So
that's why. That's the way it's aligned, is to get that pelvic tilt. Because if it was backwards, you would collapse.
Yeah.
So you're sitting in this position. This is what this position gives you that, but you're doing in the chair.
Okay.
See, look how straight your back is in that position. So if you put it there, you would go like this.
Yeah.
If it was backwards, and even if this thing was not sitting this, it was sitting up, you're gonna go on a different tilt, because this is where the pelvis is. So this is an anterior pelvic tilt, posterior, and this is gonna put it under more pressure. So the way it's designed, it's nice because of the way you wanna be in to get better pressure off the lower back.
So it was a good start for us.
Yeah, that's good. That's good for this position that you want to be in. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So then we also put a leg rest over there so that keep your legs
So that it balances you because you
Yeah.
really slip down on.
Yeah, it's just that the knees, as long as you don't put it on an irritated, as long as you follow all those principles from, so your back is straight and the feet are, because some of them, your knees are probably going to have to be bended a little bit in that position, right? Because this is called perch sitting. This is the most comfortable position.
Yeah.
Not that, because then you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
You don't want to sit like this. You're going to try. Go sit like this with your feet like this. You can't. You want to be in this position more.
Okay.
So the feet flat, not up like this.
Okay.
You
So
will
to get
irritate
the
the
feet
nerve a
flat.
bit. Yeah. So think about sitting on the edge of a like this. Go sit on the edge of a thing like this, and then like that. See. If it was a bit more backwards, like there, look what I will do.
Yeah.
See now on my toes. So I have to move forward.
And then so I get that.
And it needs to be on the exact same level, not here.
Okay.
See. So you have to follow the principles. So when your elbows has to be in a correct line, not here.
Okay.
See, this all has a change. So if you have that principle, just follow it exactly. See, arm rest at level of desk. So now your arm rest is not at the level of the desk. Your desk is going up. Alright. Because of this, you're going to get a shoulder pain. You're going to raise. It needs to be here. Like that. Okay. If you follow all those principles, you can get this right.
Okay.
Because then you're saying you follow exactly the principles of that is saying, but just in a standing way. Getting a bit of decrease.